next question is what this does to already pretty fractured trust in our healthcare system.
It's not good. There is this level of disruption to systems. It really prompts a couple of things. One is that the inclination is to blame the hospital. Sometimes it very much is the organization's responsibility and part of the argument. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's you did everything you could, and in advanced action groups and AIM was trying to get in and they managed to do it, right? So, but there's this inclination to blame the hospitals. Essentially lawsuits, you get regulatory fines, you get bad press, you get angry patients who maybe were not willing to go back to the hospital. And there's also this general feeling that we don't have cybersecurity, that my data is always out there, that it contributes to this cynical view that nothing's going to change, all this stuff. There's a hope. Where I bought or my data's out there, right? So all of that is snowballed when you have these news stories about these ransomware attacks against hospital after hospital after hospital.
So, the obvious next question is there a way to keep this from happening or remove it at the national level by regulators, the big insurance players, the big hospital systems, the American Hospital Association, any of these folks, because it's not good for them either.
It's bad for business. It's especially bad for business when they're dragged in front of Congress and yelled at for hours on national television. I'd say a few things. One is that the Biden administration had spending a fair amount of time thinking about ransomware specifically. So lots going on with cybersecurity generally, but in particular thinking about ransomware's unique problem because of this disruptive
Let's go fishing.
effect that whether it's an energy grid, for example, or a library or a school or a hospital is forced to shut down operations, that's really disruptive. So there's been a fair amount of activity internationally working with other governments on, hey, if we know some of these groups are based in Eastern Europe, can we get at them? Can we start to be proactive about disrupting these groups? And then also working domestically with organizations on ways to get at the problem. The second thing I'll say is thinking more about health, security, and data protection as a holistic issue. And we're just talking about hospitals today. And there are a variety of other apps and services and other technologies that are not even subject to any of the few regulations we mentioned. That's a telehealth service like BetterHelp. That's fertility tracking apps.
Yes.
Absolutely. Flow Health and Premom, and we can name many others who have sold data to advertisers and data brokers and information on depressed LGBTQ plus teens or women who are trying to get pregnant. Lack of attention to data and technology landscape as a whole. And it's come very far. I mean, in some ways, maybe it hasn't. People are reverting back to fax machines, but pretty far since 1996. So we really just have to think more about how do we update our overall data regulations.
Justin Sherman, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Justin Sherman is CEO of Global Cyber Strategies and advocate for Dana Carlisle is president of OpenEIU Reporting. And that is it for our show today. What Next TBD is produced by Kevin Campbell, Patrick Ford, and Shane O'Rourke. Our show is edited by Paige Osborne. Alicia Montgomery is vice president of radio streaming, and TBD is part of the larger What Next family. And if you like what you heard today, the best way to support our work is to join Slate Plus. Just head on over to slate.com/whatnextplus to sign up. All right, we'll be back next week with more episodes. I'm Lizzie O'Leary. Thanks for listening. to-dos, less time, and an infinite number of tools to keep track of. Sometimes doing business has never felt harder, but you don't need a miracle to hit your goals. You can just use HubSpot, because their all-in-one customer platform can make growing your business infinitely easier. Imagine this: high-quality leads, fast closing deals, wildly happy customers, and more benchmark-breaking quarters. It's not a miracle, it's HubSpot. Visit HubSpot.com to get started today. This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech. Hi everyone, from New York Magazine and the Vox Media Podcast Network. This is On with Kara Swisher, and I'm Kara Swisher. Today is a holiday, so we're taking the opportunity to share an episode of Possible, a podcast hosted by Reid Hoffman, the American investor and entrepreneur who's played a crucial role in companies like LinkedIn, Airbnb, and OpenAI, and his co-host, former Do Something CEO, Aria Finger. They recently interviewed me on their show, and we talked about OpenAI and the New York Times lawsuit, disinformation, TikTok legislation, and AI's potential to improve healthcare and climate outcomes. Enjoy a taste of the possible. We'll be back on Thursday with more on.
Este episodio es presentado por Hill's Pet Nutrition. Cada mascota en adopción merece una segunda oportunidad y tú lo haces posible cada día, porque cuando le das Hill's a tu mascota, alimentas a una mascota en adopción, lo que las hace más sanas, felices y más aptas a ser adoptadas, cambiando sus vidas para siempre, para que puedan cambiar la tuya. Más de 14 millones de mascotas en refugios alimentadas y adoptadas. Es gracias a la ciencia. Conoce más en hillspet.com/podcast. You should celebrate yourself every day, but some days you should celebrate with jewelry. Whether you want to commemorate an unforgettable moment or just bring some added sparkle to your collection, Blue Nile can offer you expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry at the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com today and experience the ease and convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com. BlueNile.com. If you're unaware, T-Mobile calls themselves the Un-carrier, which is fitting, considering they've just unraveled their price lock guarantee for new customers. If you ask me, that's pretty much it. If you want uncomfortable company that says lonely, but doesn't offer, then stick with Xfinity. Full home Wi-Fi, like internet, service speed, and reliability offered unparalleled. Avoid the Un-carrier. Stick with Xfinity. Connected with the customers after 16224. T-Mobile's credit card will only reimburse your last bill. Internet service due to price increase. You'd be shocked. I am the old person. I'm the one that argues for. When I started off the internet with the Washington Post in the 90s, I was using email and I was using the internet. All the reporters were like, why are you using email? Why are you having readers listen to you? And I was like, why are you asking that question? Like, of course you would. And I would encourage people at the time to use the internet, use cell phones, understand the distribution units all the time. I say the same thing now. Okay? I use it every single day and all over. Try different ones. They'll come and go. Just like the internet sites. Eric Schmidt, former CEO, said that every 2 days we create as much information as we do from the dawn of civilization up until 2003. The scariest part of this, he said this in the summer of 2010, before Instagram, Snapchat, and even TikTok started. And of course, before the explosive growth of generative AI. In other words, the stat is wildly outdated. And one can imagine how, in this era of AI, there's an even greater volume of information speeding on the web. How can we dig deep? How can we digest it? What can we fact check it? Can we trust it? And who's the counter?
Our guest today, Tim, has a perspective on the web. Kara Swisher is a renowned tech journalist, fearless, incisive reporting time, and a Stitcher avian. She has been known to wear more than decades-long career covering Silicon Valley, during which she's interviewed everyone from Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and, well, levels she covered and helped shape the tech leader at the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal, and co-founded All Things Digital and Be Good. She's also a mainstay in the podcast world and hosts 2 shows, On with Kara Swisher and Pivot. Her new book, Burn, is an unflinching, sometimes scathing examination of the tech industry and the founders of it. It doesn't shy away from the consequences of tech tactics of waste and scam.
Kara has been a driving force in shaping the narrative around technology, business, and
Narrative.
accountability in both Silicon Valley and media.
We'll talk to Kara about all this and see if we can get her take on how AI might bring the best out of humanity. Here's our conversation with Kara Swisher. Kara, let's start by quoting you to you.
Why not? Sounds good to me.
So you said that you're an optimistic pessimist, super, and you're thrilled when the best happens. Given the ethos of this podcast, the Possible Podcast, we're going to start off by focusing on exactly that. What amazing things might happen if everything goes right. So let's warm up and venture in that direction. What's one technological accomplishment in the last 5 years that pulled you towards your optimistic side?
Oh, some of this cancer research done by AI, I think it's really fascinating. And, the gene folding or anything in healthcare with AI, to me, is really promising. And I tend towards it, even though I know better, right? Like, so I go, it's going to go all bad. We're going to all die from drone robots, essentially. Killer robots. But I tend to look at this and think, here's a real opportunity. And it's born out of my own health issues. I had a stroke many years ago. My dad died of a cerebral hemorrhage. Just the knowledge of what they don't have that's trapped in all kinds of databases seems to me perfect for this kind of technology. And so, specifically, I had many people reach out to me actually and say, oh my God, like, you know Kara Swisher, you're going to interview her? Like, ask her about health tech. She's super into that. Yeah. And so, do you think, like, does that optimism for you expand to other areas? Are you like, oh, we can do these amazing things in health tech? Why not education tech? Why not all of these other areas for AI? Yes, I mean, that's the premise. It's like when you saw the internet for the first time, you weren't going to imagine what was going to happen. I don't know if I redid, I don't think I did. When you saw the iPhone for the first time, you had some sense of where things were going, but you weren't sure. Which I find very helpful. Like, whatever you think of the company, it's still the changes. I use it a lot. I was just visiting my son in Argentina. For example, I use it there. Just, you wouldn't imagine it. And so I don't know what to imagine, but I can imagine healthcare as a heavily data-oriented business. Is so inefficient. It's the one area that hasn't been affected by digital in the way you transform. And so that's why I get excited about it. It's also a positive thing. I can anticipate all the negative all day long. And this is a possible show, so it's possibly we're dead. We are going to be dead all of this. And so I think that, to me, on the healthcare seems, and the second thing is climate change. Obviously, again, it's not going to be solved by technology. That's kind of intuitive. There's no silver bullet. But this is a data-heavy area. We could start to really come up with better ideas. And when I see a lot of the climate change tech people, I find them very moving, and I find even people I didn't get along with for many years, like Bill Gates, who I now like because we talk about climate change tech. He's gotten creative, right, in that regard. If energizes him in a way that's really positive and brings all these experiences to bear.
The one thing to double down on that I think is important is, like, personally, I think the actually biggest goal to fix climate technology, whether it's energy, clean energy, which ranges in nuclear to wind and solar, and all the rest of it, I think the set of those things, whether it's questions around, like, what do we do for the biology plants, which are also mechanisms for carbon capture and whatnot, engineering. And I tend to think, I understand the kind of lefty critique of you're just technology or to say do nothing now. It's like, well, what if we were actually saying act now, right away doing it? It strikes me as a much more likely way to make any real dent on this issue than all of the other things that are put on. And you seem to have been just like playing down the tech part of it.
To do it now? Oh, no, I'm not playing down. I just don't think it's the only solution. Like, there's all kinds of behavioral solutions and everything else about how we waste. Just food waste. I mean, it's just something I think done better, that's all. And what I would hope it gets is, listen, we had a whole day, one of the last codes, I spent a whole day in climate tech people. Like, there was someone doing fusion, there was someone doing heat transfer stuff, and someone was doing geothermal, someone was doing, she had these devices on piers that were collecting energy. I am all in for this kind of stuff, and I've actually found the entrepreneurs to be really much more mission-driven in a real way than everyone else cosplays doing, right? They're actually mission-driven. And as someone who has a lot of kids, I think a lot about their future and the world they want to live in. My worry is that we're going to spend too much time with mitigation over solutions, right? Over new and exciting wins. Solutions-based is where I'm very interested in as many solutions right now as possible, even if some.
And do you think there's something intrinsic about health tech and climate tech that just make them more amenable to technological solutions, or AI can help them more, or are there things that other sectors can learn about how those entrepreneurs are doing it right and are more mission driven?
Yeah, I think they're daily, and they're also idea scarcity, right? Here are the big ideas, and you can't, like, when you think about medical stuff, like, I talk about my brother a lot who has an anesthesiologist. He really avails himself to a lot of these things because you can't see. He and his colleagues can't know enough. There's not enough to read. And so it just makes sense that idea generation is something that I think this stuff does really well. And you don't have to like all the ideas, but 100 ideas is better than 3, and especially when 2 of 3 are terrible, and say 90 of them, 100 are bad, and you made ideas, right, or whatever. And so I think they avail themselves of data, and they bring more information to the core. And it's also probably better information. Like, it's just kind of like, this is what happened in surgery, this is what happened, and it's less prevalent to say if you're going to put in the justice system, or if you're talking about news content.
Well, that brings up a natural question of expertise, which is the nature of the media ecosystem and journalism, which I think we want to cover in a couple of different ways. But what do you think the current state of the union is, or state of the media is? And what are, kind of some of the key things that fix?
Well, just before this, I had a conversation with someone at a big media company. We were talking in my media business to be smaller, right? I shrunk myself, and in shrinking myself, I do a lot better, right? And so there's all these smaller organizations. They're kind of they're very nimble, whether it's Casey Newton at Platformer. He does great. Let me just tell you, he does great economically. He does great from a content perspective. I don't ever see me out bigger, essentially. And so there's a lot of fascinating stuff being done on a small scale that is economically viable, makes a good living for people, is super good in terms of content. That's doing great. And you see those experiments all over the place. It also doesn't have to get that big to do really well, right? It can stay, the small, very successful restaurants. There's one in San Francisco, Baker Bar, right? Gastro, and it just is always going to be there. It only has this many seats, and it's always that. And so that's how there's a lot of that happening, and that's exciting. And something that's really pop is another one that focuses on power, of course. So that's got an audience. But
there's all kinds of smoke. Heather Cox Richardson, she makes bank like you can't believe.
She's incredible.
With her history lessons, essentially. It's the one lady who lives in Maine and types away. She makes $5 million in revenue. It's like that's a good business, you know. And she has like 2 people, whatever. So you can see the economic story. Then there's the very big organizations, and the very biggest is essentially the New York Times, which is not a very big company. Like we keep saying, oh, look at the success of the Times. Well, one, it makes all its traffic and money on cooking and Wordle, or word games and things like that. And the news does fine, it does well, and it's growing, but not like those other parts of it. So I like what they've done there. They've added different things on, which makes it wide ranging. But if you look at their profits, they're not that profitable. They're profitable, which is great, and they're solidly profitable. They're not that profitable, and the way newspapers used to be, like minting money. And their revenues are, I don't know, $2.4 billion. That's pretty small to think about. That's one of the things I think about is like, that's the biggest and most successful. And I'm leaving out the Disneys and those people who they've got their own unique challenges, and I'm not in that business, I'm not the entertainment business. But you're not going to have very many New York Times, right? There's not going to be that many viable businesses. Facebook and their Meta and Google, and essentially Google and Facebook own digital advertising. And look at Facebook's enormous surge in stock price. They're hitting on all cylinders. They own digital advertising, and AI is going to help them enormously make that even. They bypass the Apple problem, with that. And so that's just, they're just, the New York Times is dropping the bucket. So who's going to be big? I have but their business is challenged in the same place they're going to change. I read one story about the salaries of the bankers there, and I'm like, how is it that they deserve this money if they don't make it? Like I know every dollar I make is what I owe, right? I'm not just CNN, there's all of them, the whole team.